Hey everyone! I am here with another plant video, another in my series of plants for bubs. Um, I was so pleased that some of you found the other video really helpful, so I'm gonna keep making them as long as people find them helpful. Um, I, uh, I I really like that it helped some of you guys and that you got some good, tips out of it or whatever. So, yeah, just let me know like what you're interested in hearing about, what kind of plants you want to know about, or like what kind of questions you have. And some of you have already done that, and that's awesome. Thank you. Um, I'm kind of like tired. Like, well, my eyes are just kind of bothering me. It could be allergies, so I apologize if I'm kind of like, I'm drinking some green tea to give me a little bit of energy. So today's video is going to be on easy plants. Plants that I think and that experts and the general houseplant community considers to be easy care plants. So I have a bunch of them like near me right now, so I can like kind of pick them up and show them to you. But there's at least one or two that I'll need to get up and bring the camera to you because it's too big for me to move my camera. But okay, so first off, I want to note that, a lot of these are, yes, very easy care. Doesn't mean that they're completely unkillable. A lot of times you'll see lists that are like impossible to kill plants. And it's like, yes, but also no. A lot of people will find that these plants are impossible to kill. But it's not quite true. They can be killed. It's a lot harder to kill them. You have to really, really neglect them, but it's not impossible. And it should go without saying that every houseplant does need some kind of care. Even if you're only watering it, like if it's a houseplant that needs very dry soil and you're literally only watering it once a month and fertilizing it once a year, like that's still care. You still have to be responsible and try your best to take care of your plants. But like I said in the previous video, you can do it. It's easier than you think it is. You just need to build it into your schedule, build it into your calendar, remind yourself, take some general common sense precautions, and you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. So the first plant that we're going to talk about is a pothos, which you probably have seen. I think every one of you have seen this plant in either in somebody else's home or in a movie or a TV or in the waiting room of a doctor's office or something. They're everywhere. They're in every plant shop. They're in tons of homes. They're very, very prolific, and for good reason. This is a smaller pothos that I've kind of just kept in this small pot for several years now. And I have these stickers on it that I recently just put on from my friend Emily, who is also a bub, and she sent me these in the mail, and I thought it was perfect to decorate this pot with. So now they have like a woodland nymph vibe. So pothos are really great because they are one of the easiest, if not the easiest plant to take care of. Sorry, my window's open again. And I would also say that they are definitely the easiest trailing plant to take care of. So if you're looking for a plant to kind of cascade over your shelves or to hang from the ceiling or a wall, and you want something super easy, good in a variety of conditions, this is your boy. You can wait. So let's talk about watering. For pothos, you really want to just wait until it's completely dried out. And you can even wait until you get that wilt in the leaves. Now, I just watered this yesterday, so it's really nice and perky. It's very nice and perky. I wish I had one that wasn't as perky. I could show you, but you can just wait until the soil feels bone dry. Stick your finger in all the way, kind of feel around, wait till it's bone dry. and wait till you get that wilt in the leaves. And then once you see that wilt, once you feel that the soil is completely dry, then give it a thorough watering. Don't just give it, half a cup and that's it. You want to thoroughly water all parts of the soil. And this is a good rule of thumb for most houseplants. When you water them, don't just like pour in a little bit of water, half a cup or whatever. Oh, the top part's wet, okay, or oh, the middle part's wet, whatever. No, get it thoroughly wet and get it wet enough so that water is running out of the bottom, right? So you really want to give it a good drink, because remember, you're letting it get bone dry. It needs a deep, long drink of water. So make sure it gets thoroughly wet, and you can take it, into your bathroom or in your tub or on your fire escape and just let the water run through. For light, one of the reasons why these are so popular is because not only are they just like resilient to, going without water longer than other plants, or just, they're more resilient to like, oh, they're really, really thirsty and they're not doing well, but they'll bounce back once you water them. But they are good in a variety of light situations. They are good in low light. They're good in medium light. They're good in bright light. I'm going to cheat and look at my, okay. I don't have them on my list for plants that cannot handle direct sun, so they might be okay in direct sun, but I would say look that up first, or I can look it up and confirm later. I would say for most types of light, Pothos is going to be great. They will do their best in bright indirect light. That is when they will really be growing the fastest, giving you the most vibrant hues, just giving you more trailing vines, bigger leaves. You can encourage the leaves to grow bigger by staking them on like a moss pole and kind of tying them to the moss pole and then letting them kind of attach themselves, because pothos are one of those plants where you can kind of see these are like, root systems that are coming out of the nodes, but they'll also kind of attach themselves to a vertical element. So if you want to try to grow really big leaves, give them bright and direct light and have it grow up a moss pole. They grow smaller leaves when they're trailing. So I don't know, something to do with, gravity. So this is an example of a small one. I've kept it small by chopping off, as it gets kind of longer, I chop it off and I put, I propagate that end and I put it in water. This I believe is just like a golden pothos, because it's not a jade, because it's got a little bit of variegation, you can see. And this one doesn't get a ton of light, so the variegation is not coming out that much. You can see that little leaf has some. But I'm going to show you a bigger one right now. This one is a very big boy. And this like long trailing part, this is all like since I've bought it. They can be pretty fast growers. And this one definitely has bigger leaves and more variegation. You can see there. Yeah, they can get, you can get them in various sizes. You can get little small plants and you can kind of keep them small. My cat's chasing a fly. And then you can also buy them in these big baskets. And you can the great thing about them is that you can propagate them really easily in water. Like they take to water like fish. Like they will grow roots really quickly, really well. And then you can, once the roots are established, you can put them in soil. But you usually, I'll go into water propagation and that type of thing later. Sometimes it can be hard to transfer plants that have been in water for a while into soil, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, pothos. And pothos come in a variety of colors. So I'm going to show you another one. This is a pothos marble queen. So you can see she's got much more variegation. It's much more like bright white, and it's just much more prolific. Look at this leaf here. This leaf here, ugh, let's see. This one is so pretty. God. Yeah. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the different pothos types is that the more variegation your pothos has, the lighter color on your pothos, the more light it's going to need. And that is a general rule for all houseplants, actually. If you have a variegated houseplant that is lighter in color than its relatives, it's going to need more light. That's a general rule. So now it doesn't necessarily mean that if, say, this plant did not, if this marble queen did not get the amount of light that it really wants, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to die or that it will be unhealthy. It'll most likely just mean that this variegation is going to go away, or it's going to be minimalized. So it's just not going to be quite as pretty, basically. But some people don't care. They're just like, I just want a plant in my home. I just want it to look pretty. If it changes a little bit, if it's not as vibrant, that's okay. So, keep it up. It's up to you. But ideally, it's going to want bright indirect light, just like the regular pothos. But it's going to maintain that beautiful, beautiful coloring much better if it gets the light it wants, the brighter light it wants. So let's go on to the next plant. I'm trying not to make these videos like super long, but I talk so much. Okay. So the next plant I have is actually one that I just received, and this is my first ever plant of this kind. I'm gonna have to back up to show you this. This plant is so beautiful. I'm so obsessed with it right now. I received it in the mail yesterday, I think. This is a cast iron plant, or an asperdita. I'll put it in I'll mention in the comments what it is. I always have a hard time saying the scientific names of plants correctly. Certain ones I just pronounce them like a hillbilly. So this is a cast iron plant. This was actually apparently one of the first house plants that at least Europeans and Americans started keeping in their home in Victorian times and the early part of the 20th century. And the reason why is because it's so easy to take care of, and it's really good in low light. And it's called cast iron because it's almost indestructible. This one there are cast irons that are variegated, so that they have more different coloring on their leaves. This one is just a plain green one. But I just love how big the leaves are, and I love just how big the plant is without, the root ball itself, wasn't this huge long root ball, but the plant is just so tall and impressive, and the leaves are just such a nice green. I don't know. I just I love it. I'm so in love with it. So this is also a plant that is gonna be okay in a lot of lower light situations. People would place them in, under stairways and far away from windows, and it would be fine. So I'm putting this in probably the darkest corner of my room, and we'll see how it does. I mean, I'm hoping that it does fine. I'm hoping that I potted it up okay. Look, it's a purple. Look, Angel, it's purple. I actually don't like this pot just because it's like a very cheap plastic, so I will be wanting to get a different pot for this beautiful plant because it deserves more, but it is a pretty color. Um, I think these are now, I don't have a ton of experience actually owning this one, so I'll have to get back to you on making sure it wasn't a bug. I'll have to get back to you on like, how it actually is to care for from my experience. But I think with these, you can also let them dry out completely, and they will be okay. And just water them when you, still be checking on them on a regular basis. But when you realize that it's completely dried out, give it a nice drink. But it's not, it's not one of those plants that's going to need to be watered that often. And you can go on vacation and just kind of not have to worry about it. And it's a great like statement plant, like it's tall. And I got this off of a Facebook plant share group, and I paid like $10 for it, and the shipping was $10, but a really great deal. Well, actually, I think it was 15. I think it might have been 15. Now these might go for a little more than that. I've heard that they can get a little pricey in the stores, but honestly, like if you're interested in getting plants for a good deal, join some of these Facebook groups, and I can link them in the post. And these in particular, like cast irons, I have not seen these in stores. These are not nearly as popular as they used to be. They used to be popular like, way in the beginning when Europeans and Americans started having houseplants in their home. And then they were really popular in the 70s, actually. But these are not terribly popular right now. And, you kind of see more people talking about monsteras and Hoyas and orchids and, so they're not terribly popular, but I think, if you're looking for an easy care plant that gives this just beautiful, luscious green and like great upright foliage, and if you have a dark spot in your home, like, try to find one of these. Look on Etsy. I've seen them on Etsy. Join the plant groups, ask your local nurseries. Sometimes you can just ask your nursery, like, hey, can you order one of these for me? And they might be able to. Nursery or houseplant shop. So yeah, cast iron plant. Definitely look into one of these because these are great. Okay, so next up is a snake plant. So Angel, I know you were thinking about getting a snake plant, so I'm gonna show you my snake plant. I have had this for a long time. I actually have two of them. They're about the same height. And like you can see, this is like sitting on my bed right next to me. And it's, it's like 3 feet-ish. I don't know. But this plant is one of my oldest plants in my collection. And I have its sister plant that that is also just as tall. If not, maybe even taller. And this, I definitely have not like taken care of it the way it should have, I think. But it's just kind of kept going along, and it's still been growing, and it's been fine for the most part. Like I know that there are things that I could have done better or differently for this that would make it look even nicer. Like you can see it's kind of got some pieces that have either broken off or fallen off or just kind of, I kind of went, abruptly kind of stopped. So that's, that's not ideal. And I think the soil that I put it in when I repotted it last summer is not the best soil for this. But it's a snake plant. It's an easy care plant. It's dealt with it. It's kind of been like, okay, this is not the absolute best care, but I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to use what I have and keep going with it and keep growing and doing my best. And it's been doing great. This one actually flowered for me this earlier in the summer. which I've heard that flowering for a snake plant indoors actually means that it's stressed. So my poor baby. I'm not sure exactly what's stressing it. Maybe it needs to be repotted. Maybe it needs better soil. Either way, it flowered for me, and then it gave me this new shoot. Like, this whole thing is only like 2 or 3 months old. Seriously. Like, when you get this beautiful new growth on a snake plant, it can actually grow pretty quickly, and you can just, no, hey, stop. Sorry. Hey, stop. She's trying to eat one of my plants that I put out on the floor. But it's a cat safe plant, and she specifically is going for the cat safe one. But I still don't want her to eat it. Yeah, so they can be really fast growers if given like the right conditions. I have it right in my northeast facing window. It would probably like a little brighter light than that. But the nice thing about snake plants is, you know, like I said, they're adaptable. They will often be good in lower light. It does want to have bright indirect light. And I think these can also be okay with direct light too. Just you would probably have to acclimate it. If it was not growing in direct light, you'd have to acclimate it slowly. But it's just a great plant. It's easy. You know, I haven't been the absolute best snake plant parent. I've definitely made an effort, but I know that there's definitely things I could have done better, but yeah. There are different kinds of snake plants. So you can kind of like get ones that suit, you know, the look that you're going for. And another great thing about them is that they're very sculptural and kind of very different from the way a lot of other plants look. And I'm going to show you another one that I have. Letha, stop. Oh, this is even more sculptural. So this is a very, like, if you're looking for a more minimalist plant, if you don't like the look of like lots of foliage and like a foresty kind of look, if you want something that looks more like a piece of modern art or like something you'd find in the desert, but you still want it to be easy to care for, snake plants are your girls. Oh God, I let this one sit in water too long. Shit. I need to dump the water out. Yeah, I watered this yesterday also, and you don't want them to sit in water because they are succulents, and succulents store water, so you don't want to give them root rot. So that's my bee. But look, I've got a new little one growing in. So this is a Sansevieria cylindrica. Actually, snake plants recently were reclassified under Dracaenas, which I find annoying, and it's just annoying. But you know, like the scientists, the botanists that are studying plants and deciding to reclassify things, they're not consulting houseplant owners, so that's fine. They're just doing their science stuff. It's they're not trying to annoy us. But you can just call them snake plants. So this is the cylindrical variety, which, you know, you can see where it got its name from. There's also snake plants that come out in a starfish pattern. There's one called a whale fin that is literally just like one giant, like really broad one leaf. There's one called fernwood mikado or mikado that comes out with like smaller rounded leaves, all in like a spew, kind of like firework pattern. They come in different colors. Like there's a moonshine one that's like a really light, like almost pastel green. It's really pretty. I kind of want one of those. So you can get them in different varieties and different forms. And the most common one, I will say, is the one that I was showing you before. That's a trifasciata. So you'll see it labeled Sansevieria trifasciata, or maybe now it'll be a Dracaena trifasciata. That's probably one of the most common ones, if not the most common one that you'll see sold. But you can get them in different varieties. They'll all be fairly easy to care for, I think. I think the cylindrical variety is maybe not as easy as the more broadleafed variety that I showed you before. I think these require maybe a little bit more light. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, I think these are, you know, if you truly want a beginner plant, try the regular Sansevieras, either Trifasciata or Laurenti is another one. And I can link you to all of those so you'll have, you know, links that you can go to be like, this is the one I want. But yeah, so they don't need a ton of water. You can water them like every 2 weeks. You want the soil to dry out completely. You may, if it is in a really bright spot, you may want to water it more. So, you know, that's something to consider with all house plants is that when they are in a brighter spot, they're going to need more water because they're going to be growing faster and they're going to be using the water up faster. So you just want to make sure that you observe your plant, touch the soil, reach your finger in. You can use a water meter. God, my cat is... Letha! She's doing something naughty. You can use a water meter and do the, like, you know, hold it up, see how much it weighs. That way of seeing if it needs water. So definitely, like, you know, don't just take, you know, my word for it and like, oh, it needs to be watered every 2 weeks. Okay, I'm going to water it every 2 weeks and not check on it and not see if it actually needs water. You might need to water it more than that. You might need to water it less than that. It really depends on the situation you have your plant in. So this video is getting a little long. I'm going to cover 2 or maybe 3 more easy houseplants after this, but I think the ones that I covered here, the pothos, the cast iron, and the sansevieria or snake plants, those are really like the 3 kind of top easy houseplants that will work in a variety of light conditions. They'll be okay if you forget to water them. They don't need watering as often as other plants. You should fertilize them, but I think they'll be okay if you don't, or if you forget a couple times, whatever, it'll be fine. So yeah, definitely like look into those. If you're one of those beginner people or are scared to get into houseplants, get into those. Tell me what you think. Ask me questions. I'm gonna post a bunch of links under this video so that you have like more knowledge and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna make another video in a second to cover the other easy houseplants, but I hope this was helpful, and I hope you all are having a good day.